All rise. The Lemoyne Supreme Court is now in session. Honorable Judge Melina Troska presiding.
Thank you. Greetings, everyone. Please be seated. All right, let's see. We have Mr. Novak here. We have Mr. Hoffman here. We have 4 jury members. Interesting. All right. All right. Mr. Thank you, everyone, for coming. We apologize for a little bit of waiting, but assume things needed to be get together, and people arrived from a long, far away. So I appreciate your patience. Mr. Novak, Mr. Hoffman, could you please approach the table?
It's a bench. It's a pedantics. Whatever. Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will gonna be forming a jury in a moment. I would ask all the jury members go ahead and go at the back room with Mr. Alexander Hoffman and Mr. Novak. I'll be joining you there shortly. This will take only a few minutes, so thank you for your patience.
If I were to escape, now would be the time. But I have no money for any weapons. Nothing. I have nothing.
have a look. All right then, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and start the court session. If this is going to be a long session, we will have a breaks. In which case you can get yourself some food and drinks and so forth, so forth. If it's gonna last more than 3 or 4 hours, we are gonna be continuing its next day, depending on how it goes. But as for now, Mr. Novak, you could go ahead and start, and we'll go from there.
All right, we'll be covering the Monoton rule evaluation first. So, Dr. Kane will be the first witness as an expert witness, being the doctor that evaluated Mr. Blackwood.
All right, Dr. Kane, go ahead and go to the witness stand.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, yes.
All right, Mr. Novak.
Dr. Kane, can you outline your professional qualifications for me?
Yes. I went to university at the University of London, and where I studied medicine. I was quite young, but I was finished with my education by 21. After that, I worked as a private physician for a family. I also ran an apothecary as well. And I began my training as a surgeon. In the last 3 years, more accurately, 3 years, I have worked as a government contracted doctor, as well
You could
as...
speak up, doctor. Can't hear you in the back.
Yes, can you hear me now?
There we are.
Apologies. And for the last 3 years, I've worked as a government contracted doctor for about a year, and also received training and certification to be an alienist, of which in my tenure, I would say I had approximately 6 active patients.
And for those who are not aware, can you outline what an alienist is?
An alienist is a doctor who deals with maladies of the mind.
And in your position as an alienist, how often have you evaluated defendants in criminal cases?
Only once before.
And how many times have you met with Mr. Blackwood, and for how long each time?
Unlike our first meeting, I have had an opportunity to meet with him again. So I have met with him twice. The first time, I believe, was about 2 hours, or a little more, and this last time about an hour.
And what specific tests or assessments did you administer to evaluate his mental state?
I used a standardized test. It doesn't have a particular name, but it is a series of about, it ranges from 10 to 12 questions depending on the patient. That covers basic foundational questions such as mental state, mood, on a very general sense, that is used by most alienists.
And any of the conclusions you drew from this meeting, did you base those conclusions solely on Ezekiel Blackwood's self-reported symptoms, or did you gather independent corroboration?
In the case of my report, I did my best to separate any other external knowledge I may have from anyone else or from my own personal experiences, I strictly try to stick to those questions and draw my conclusion based purely off of his answers, of which I kept a very accurate written notes so that I could refer back to those notes and nothing else.
All right. Is it possible that Mr. Blackwood could have exaggerated or fabricated symptoms to appear insane when you asked those questions?
Yes, sir, that is possible.
And in your professional opinion, would a person who is truly insane understand how to evade law enforcement and create a fictional persona to deflect blame?
This is a difficult question. I suppose I do not feel confident in answering from a position of having great amounts of literature behind it to support such a notion. But I would say that it is possible for someone who is insane to create a persona, as you say. As I say, I do not feel confident without greater study.
And based on your evaluation of him, was he ever able to recall any details about any of the crimes that he has been alleged?
Depends on what you mean by he. The individual we call Blackwood, in some capacity, I think has knowledge. Whether that capacity is conscious or not may depend upon the moment. So perhaps the answer is yes.
And what do you mean by this individual?
My secondary interview with him, when I went over the questions again under different circumstances yesterday, I was struck by a series of answers that were utterly different than the prior answers. And I believe it is possible that he is sometimes aware and sometimes not aware.
And in your professional experience, is it common for delusional individuals to exhibit such drastic behavioral shifts based on what? Actually, sorry, let me not ask this question first. Let me establish another question.
Sure.
Was there any external factor that caused him to have these personality shifts?
I believe you are referring to my my report submitted yesterday, this
Yes.
morning. I believe from what I observed, as written in my report, that the shift in demeanor is correlated, if not causal, by his adoption of the persona of Ebony. That is to say, wearing the all black attire of his tribe and the hood, the face covering, or head covering.
All right. And so, in your professional experience, is it common for delusional individuals to exhibit such drastic behavioral shifts based on external factors like clothing?
No, sir. I have never run across it.
And would you agree that the stark difference in demeanor, vocabulary, and posture suggests a conscious performance rather than an involuntary mental state?
I have more evidence that suggests that he is not in control of it, but I admit that as of our last conversation, I must open my mind to the possibility that it could be performative.
And in your notes, you outlined the fact that you observed him revert to his normal patterns of speech and behavior after being surprised by a question. Is this true? Is this what happened?
Yes, there was a specific one time when I asked a question that I think did not fit with the standardized questionnaire. I asked about his earliest memories, and the response I got, the reaction to it seemed much more like the Mr. Blackwood that we all know, and not as Ebony. This is extremely non-quantifiable.
And with that breaking of the trend of the questionnaire, and his ability to respond and control how he responds, sorry, would you say that this indicates an ability for him to control his responses as he broke from that persona after being asked that question?
It is that moment indeed that made me question my prior conclusion that he was not conscious of it. I think it is possible, yes, though I still believe that he is largely unconscious.
And in your report, you mentioned that he described fantastical, almost biblical recollections of his past. Did he ever display any awareness that these memories might not be real?
No, there was no outward expression of awareness that they are not real.
Would you say that Mr. Blackwood's claims, such as not being able to need sleep, are so exaggerated that they might be intended to mislead rather than a genuine symptom of psychosis?
No. No, I don't think so.
And from your knowledge as a long-standing doctor, is it common for individuals with delusions of grandeur to adopt inconsistent positions on basic facts, such as their need for sleep or their mood?
No, in my readings and experience, delusions tend to be fairly consistent.
In your notes, you noted down that some of Mr. Blackwood's answers raised doubts about their integrity. Could you elaborate on how his responses might indicate a level of awareness or intent to manipulate the interview process?
May I refer to my note
Of
on
course.
this last one? Thank you. Pardon me. All right. Would you ask the question again?
Yes. You noted that some of Mr. Blackwood's answers raised doubts about their integrity. Could you elaborate on how his responses might indicate a level of awareness or intent to manipulate your interview process?
I see. Okay. The aside from the aforementioned change in demeanor, one of the answers rather to a question struck me. It was the question asking. This is a standard question to ask. If the individual ever believes that themselves are capable of a supernatural or superhuman ability or power. Prior to yesterday, his answer was no, very flatly no, and thought it was quite silly. because I recall a sort of scoff at the question. When asked yesterday, he answered about his ability to ferry souls beyond the grave. When asked for details on this and the origins of these powers, I was given extremely vague, if not ill thought out, explanations, such as referencing vagaries in the Bible or quite vague explanations of his duty, but no real concrete examples or definitions. Whereas when asked a question about his childhood or his personal life, he was able to go into a great deal amount of detail. The difference here, am I answering the question? I don't mean to lead you on.
No, you're fine.
The difference here suggests someone who is not experiencing the delusion in such detail that they can recall it as if it was a true memory. Delusions of an extended length of time and degree are often quite consistent, and he's described a consistent type of delusion. And yet, well, and while for others who have suffered such delusions, there are often a great deal of detail offered to them, as they have experienced it quite a lot, and they can go into great depth of detail about these visions or these hallucinations. The distinct lack of detail suggests to me that it is something that has been potentially fabricated, read about, and adopted, and thought about on a more superficial level, not something experienced in the concrete degree as someone's own life. Does that answer your question?
Yes. And just to wrap it up so that the jury can get a proper understanding of it, you talk about the fact that, in your statements, you've talked about the fact that these delusions are generally more concrete than what Mr. Blackwood has been displaying. If he was truly incapable of rational decision making, truly insane, you're saying that you would expect his delusions and behavior to be more consistent over time and across settings, correct?
In this case, I would.
All right. And given his ability or his actions of reverting to his normal behavior when surprised, does this suggest he has an awareness of the role he is attempting to portray?
That would be my guess, yes. My hypothesis, yes.
In your notes, you mentioned that Mr. Blackwood could be a remarkably efficacious actor. My apologies. Based on your observations, do you believe it is possible he is exaggerating or fabricating his symptoms to avoid accountability?
I believe it is possible, yes.
And you concluded that Mr. Blackwood is a danger to society in your notes. Would this be true regardless of whether his violent tendencies stem from genuine delusions or intentional actions?
Objection, Your Honor. That's irrelevant.
I sustain that. Mr. Novak, do you have any other questions?
I do not have any other questions. Thank you.
All right. All right. Dr. Kane, you please be still. Yeah. Mr. Alexander Hoffman?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Dr. Kane.
So,
Possibilities. We've discussed a lot of possibilities in the examination as you were brought up. However, would you define for the court what a delusion is in a medical capacity?
A delusion is a a fictional belief held by someone that isn't founded in reality.
And are these fictional beliefs, is a delusion something that someone can be self-aware of? Can they be aware of this belief being false?
I think they can.
And does
Yes.
this change the fact that they convictedly believe this delusion?
So I ask again.
Does this awareness, when brought up by others, change their belief in that delusion?
I would have to reference a text on that.
Okay. We'll move on then. In your reports, you do mention possibilities of alternative explanations. However, would you summarize for the court your ultimate findings of what you think is most likely?
Yes, sir. Even with the combination of yesterday's rather interview and the original one, I still believe that the McNaughton rule, while not an American law, but I do believe it would apply here, because I believe there is more evidence to suggest that Mr. Blackwood is not capable of well, how did I say? Can't think of the word. He's not capable of consciously being aware and taking accountability of his actions because he is not in a state of mind able to make rational decisions. He's, compromised in those states, those blackout states that I wrote about in my initial findings.
Okay. And you one moment, please.
Of course.
And so you have met with Mr. Blackwood twice. During these sessions, have you you have performed in every ethical and professional capacity as any other doctor would in these circumstances, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you have, I understand you have had your work signed off on by a Dr. Cat Corbin,
Yes, sir.
otherwise known as Red Coyote.
Yes, sir.
Were you aware of Dr. Corbin's history as an alienist?
Yes, sir.
So therefore you have not only personal experience as an alienist in understanding and performing these studies on court defendants, but you have also had your work peer reviewed by another experienced alienist, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Kane. That will be all for now. Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. Dr. Kane, you can go ahead and be seated. All right. Mr. Novak,
Yes.
would you please?
This is a little unorthodox due to the fact that we don't have a special prosecutor here. I am calling myself as a witness, as the investigating officer of the main investigation of this case.
Are you going to be questioning yourself as well?
I won't be asking myself questions, but I will be testifying to the evidence in the investigation files.
It will be highly unusual, but
It will be.
sure. Yes,
And of course, I will be, once I finish my testifying, I'll be open for cross-examination from the defense.
All right. Go ahead and sit down at the witness
Lovely.
chair.
Please raise your right hand.
It's all right. it works to our advantage.
Do you swear to tell the truth,
Alright.
the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, Mr. Novak.
Bear with me here, jury. This is going to be a little confusing. Before I was appointed as the Attorney General of the 5 states, I served the West Elizabeth Sheriff's Office as a deputy and corporal during the events alleged having been committed by, or that are alleged committed by Mr. Blackwood. So as the investigating officer, I'll be walking through all of the investigation files that I've written to show all of the evidence collected. Give me 1 second here to pull open all of my files to make sure I recall it all correctly. Starting from the first file, on October 6th of this last year, at the time, I, Deputy Harvey Novak, was notified of murders having been committed in Saint Denis by Mr. Clancy Alexander. I was directed by I think he was the undersheriff at the time. No, he was a corporal at the time, Corporal McCall, to investigate the scenes. The first scene that I was directed to was a murder scene at the Saint Denis Bank. A teller was found dead on the ground. Apologies. He was found dead on the ground, stabbed multiple times with some sharp object. There were we noticed bloody shoe prints. They were not boot prints. They were not defined as such, but rather a lot more soft of an edge. Next to the teller was a note on the counter which read as follows. I stripped him bare, his rags, his skin, and took the gold he'd never win. But all I gained was fleeting ash, for greed devours, it's gone in a flash. Now in my vault, I hear his moan, his corpse a treasure I won't own, and though I gorge on jewels and bread, its emptiness I've truly fed. Throughout all of the investigation files that we have on these cases, there's one thing that links them all together, which is similar notes left at each of the scenes with the same sort of writing style with a motif of one of the 7 deadly sins. At the same day, I was also notified of another killing, which took place in the Saint Denis graveyard, which was of a we found a deceased African man who laid dead near a tree with a blood pool underneath him. There was another note next to him which read, "The world is mine, yet still I crave more riches torn from bone and grave. I hoard, I clutch, but never fill this endless void, this endless will. A beggar clawed at my estate, his hunger twisted into hate. His eyes, they gleamed with want of gold, a hunger I could not behold. I slit his throat with diamond blade, watched life and wealth akin both fade. His body bled beneath my feet, a broken shell no more than meat." Both of this note and the note found at the bank had atop them Part 1 and Part 2, respectively. So Part 1 was found at the graveyard, Part 2 was found at the the bank, which led us to believe that they were linked together, as they both have motifs of greed, and one is Part 1 and one is Part 2. On the 22nd of October, I was patrolling in Rhodes and found a note on the pinboard which noted to a scene found at the Rhodes Parlor House. Once at the Parlor House, I found a large puddle coming out from the bathroom door, and in the bathtub, inside of the bathroom, was a woman laid in the tub, her black hair still wet from the water. Marks around her neck indicated that she was strangled to death. Her eyes were open, and on the table in the left corner of the room, there was $15 set on it. We presume left for some sort of payment. On the wall behind were 2 notes posted and pinned. The first note read, "She danced beneath the pale moon's glow, a creature wrought from shadows flow. Her body promised lips divine, but she would never just be mine. She laughed with others, shared their heat. My rage grew bitter, incomplete. I stalked her in the dead of night to claim her flesh, to take her light." And the second note read, "Her breath in it faltered in my grip, as nails like knives began to slip. I crushed her throat with desperate hands and watched her life slip through the sands. But now, no warmth, no thrill remains, just cold, decaying, blood-soaked stains. Her body rots within my bed, a corpse's stare, a lover dead. Her ghost crawls near with beast that leaves but rot a darkened feast." Again, that same style of note left at this scene as well. On the same day, so October the 22nd, another murder scene. So yes, on the same day, after I had discovered the murder scene in Rhodes Parlor House, I proceeded to send a telegram to Dr. Kane, who had been acting as our expert to perform our autopsies. And as I was sending a telegram to him, I received a telegram from him explaining that he had also found another scene. Once I arrived at the Department of Justice building in Saint Denis, where this scene had taken place, there was a richly dressed individual in the lobby, laying with his throat slit on the carpet, and from the dining room to the left, there were drag marks leading to the back room where the fountain, to the back room with the fountain, where another gentleman was found, not in as fine of a clothing as the first individual. His throat slit as well, with a large amount of blood splatters across the column nearby. There were bloody handprints on the back door and bloody shoe prints, similar shoe prints to the ones found at the bank, not being proper boot prints, but rather a soft-soled shoe of some kind that led towards the water's edge on the north side of the Department of Justice property. As to not waste the jury's time. I am not going to read out the poems found at this location, but there was another poem similar in nature to the poems found at the other ones found at this one as well. With envy being the pride, the seven deadly sin mentioned in this poem. Additionally, one thing that was added to the nature of these crimes was telegrams being sent to multiple individuals at the time or during the day of the murder, presumably at some point around the time. We aren't able to exactly pinpoint the correlation between the murders and the telegrams sent, but a telegram was sent to a handful of individuals, Dr. Kane, one of them included, saying that in the upscale houses in Saint Denis, the place with the gazebo out back better be quick. They may still be alive. No one is safe. And it was sent from Emerald Station. The next murder was on the 27th of October. It was in the Bastille Saloon in Saint Denis. After receiving an anonymous telegram, Selena Galanis informed me of something happening at the Bastille. I rushed to the Bastille from McFarland's ranch. Once at the scene, I noticed that the front doors of the Bastille were barred shut, so I proceeded to enter through the back via the balcony. Once inside, I found 2 notes written on parchment laid on the bar top, and a male patron unconscious with his face in his food. After examining the victim, it was determined that he was in fact dead and not unconscious. And he seemed to be stuffed with food to the point of visible bloating. After an autopsy that was done by Dr. Kane, it was determined that the cause of death was some form of shock from a ruptured stomach. Another, like I said before, a set of notes were found at the bar. As well as before the telegram was sent and before the horse races, which was why I was at McFarland's ranch, Corporal Jenkins McCall, had noticed a man in all black with a black wolf headdress and black mask sitting out front of the Bastille before they had headed out to go to the horse races. The next murder was on the 3rd of November at the Saint Denis Church. This time I had received a telegram from Dr. Kane about a murder that happened on the church grounds in the mausoleum. Found in the mausoleum was a clergyman that had his throat slit from behind on the ground with blood pooling around him and kitten footprints tracked in the blood. To the right of his body was a ledger with payment information for 10 separate individuals, and to his left was a newspaper dated to... Apologies. I believe this is the 2nd of November. Yes, 2nd of November. On the wall, past the body, was a cross hung up with a note pinned beside it by an arrowhead. This set of notes seemed to be a divergence from the normal motif of the 7 deadly sins. This is due to the fact that that newspaper aforementioned had spoke of a clergyman selling indulgences, selling the right to have their sins removed from them. on
Now, my hope is that the jury is
the
listening about
next
as
is
closely to him this
the
entire time
attempted
as we
murder
are.
of Danielle Lemaitre. At 9:31 p.m., an anonymous telegram was sent to multiple individuals on paper with a black tree inked on it. It read, "Do not hurry, for time has no claim. She's already gone, extinguished the flame. Your steps, though quick, will come too late. Her soul has slipped through the closing gate." It then gave descriptions of where to find her, being in Van Horn's barn, her resting alone. Once I had read the telegram, I rushed to Van Horn, where I found Deputy Daniela Matre unconscious on the ground with an obsidian-tipped arrow through the right side of her chest, with her hands and feet bound. On the workbench next to her were 2 notes. This one, apologies, being the motif being of wrath, and the last part of it being, "In sloth you'll die but never rest," alluding to a murder in relation to sloth. There was also a drawing of a tree that was ablaze on the wall above said workbench that she was found next to. While Danielle Lemaitre was receiving medical attention, a note fell out of her pocket, reading, "Behold, the day the Lord cometh, cruel both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it." And that's all of the investigation files in relation to the charges brought forward.
All right. You're looking to add anything else?
No, that is all for me.
Okay. Mr. Hoffman, would you go ahead and
Yes.
step forward?
I want to ensure that this is the finality of everything that Mr. Novak wishes to say in his capacity as a witness.
Mr. Novak?
Yes.
All right. Well, there you have it, Mr. Hoffman.
All right, I appreciate your ability to recite all of that for us. That was a lot, but could you, for the sake of our court's understanding, summarize the investigative points by which you connect each of these crimes to Mr. Blackwood here?
Yes. Each of the murders have the notes left, all having linked to each other. There are various different evidence, like the shoe prints, of which Mr. Blackwood is known for not wearing proper shoes, but rather moccasins.
Wait, well, hold on a second. Is known. Do you have a witness who can state
Yes,
such for
I do.
us? Okay, and that will, I presume, be coming up later.
It will, yes.
We will make that argument then at that time.
I'm sorry. Is that witness currently in the courthouse?
Yes, he is.
Thank you.
Carry on, but let's try to restrict this to where you specifically are drawing the connections in your statements as a witness.
Yes, of course. The other one is the fact that a couple months ago, I witnessed Zeke having a cat. He introduced me to the cat, and that there are cat prints found at the murder scene at the church.
A cat?
Yes.
How many cats do you reckon there are in Saint Denis?
I have no clue. I do not know.
Would you think it's a fair assessment to say there are quite a few?
Sure.
All right, just curious on that. Okay, so we have moccasins, the cat prints. Anything else you wish to add?
No.
All right then. I have no further questions for Mr. Novak at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. Mr. Novak, you can go ahead and go back to your seat.
So, what he testified just now is that he has two things connecting you to those murders from his own personal investigation of those files. Moccasins,
Do you mind if I
cat
call
prints.
you up next?
Right.
Now, cat prints are easy to explain. Moccasins, in Saint Denis, who knows?
I
But
did not.
I
Diana,
I
suppose it's
expected
talk
him
for
to
a
try and argue more there.
I did as well.
Makes me wonder what he's got in store for the other witnesses, but that was a little bit more concise to chew through than I thought it'd be.
But I thought he'd have more. Or at least I would expect as much from somebody who's been investigating this for how long now?
Yeah.
No, well.
Hey, Kat, I need to talk to you for a second.
It has me suspicious, Blackwood.
What's that?
The investigation files had a lot more than that he would have tried to press home if he was really trying to push to put you away. I'm wondering if the goal isn't to put you away.
Yeah, I refilled in the last
What do you mean?
Are you familiar with your father's trial and his eventual demise?
Yes, Mr. Clancy or Alexander Hood, he told me all about that the first day I arrived here.
Evan, you need water?
His, if I remember correctly, he was the one who represented him in court.
That is correct. As you know, then, your father was acquitted that day in court.
Yes, sir.
And from my understanding, eventually shot by Mr. Bain over there.
Will do. That is what Clancy said, yes.
I'm concerned.
What, do you think they're trying to throw this so they can murder me?
I don't want to start pointing fingers at bad faith actions here. But it feels like there's more effort being spent to prove that you're sane than there is effort in actually proving the underlying accusations.
It is strange.
I think, should you find yourself acquitted as a result of this day, we enter a request to the judge for protective custody on a federal basis. Potential continued
All right, everyone.
examinations for
Court is going to be
psychological
back in
evaluation
session. Mr.
on a
Novak,
voluntary
you all
basis, of
good and
course.
everything to continue?
Yes.
I would have to think about it. I
Lovely,
don't know.
lovely. All right, let's go ahead and start. Mr. Novak, go ahead and.
All right. I'd like to call Dr. Kane to the stand as a witness to the scenes of the murders and as the expert witness for the autopsies.
All right, Dr. Kane, why don't you go ahead and find that seat that is very familiar already for you?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, Mr. Novak.
Dr. Kane, what is your connection to the area in which most of these murders occurred?
I have lived there for the past almost 7 months.
And what motivated you to investigate and look into these murder scenes on your own?
Morbid curiosity.
Which was the first murder scene that you visited?
Oof. It is a bit foggy now. Let me think. The first one. What? Oof. I can't remember now. I saw. It was not the Rhodes one. I saw that one later. It was before that.
So the Department of Justice one, correct?
Yes. I did happen upon that one.
And what did you observe at this scene?
There were 2 bodies, one in the front room, one in the back room where the fountain is, and their throats were cut. There was a great deal of blood spray, indicative of a carotid being severed to a certain degree to allow for such pressure, and that much blood to be sprayed. There was also a pool of blood, and I saw that they were finely dressed. There was notes hanging on the door frame, and I followed footprints out the back, down the steps and towards the swamp.
And did you collect or disturb any items at the scene?
No, I believe I was with Miss Danielle Lemaitre, and knowing her, she was not. I don't believe she was actually with the department yet. I could be wrong about that, but I know of her experience in law, so I was very careful not to disturb anything.
All right. And the second scene you interacted with was the Rhodes Parlor House, correct?
You brought me to that one because that is the one that you were working on, I think, when I wrote you.
Yes.
So we went to that one directly after.
And were there any other scenes that you happened across?
Yes, the one in the mausoleum at the Saint Denis Church by the office. That one I received a letter for, and I went to the location.
And did you disturb any of the items at this scene before alerting law enforcement?
No, sir.
All right.
I also saw the one in Bastille. Sorry. It's another one.
Yes. Yes. And again, disturbed anything there?
No, sir.
All right. And after those two, were there any other scenes that you happened across?
Happened across? No.
Sorry, like as in any of the any scenes that you investigated, not just stumbled across, but rather were led to. Or...
I was asked to come to the scene where Danny was in Van Horn.
Yes.
And I did the medical care there.
Yes.
There's another one. Sorry, I forgot. There's another one. I went to a scene in Van Horn that was not mentioned thus far. But it was a scene that I responded to in Van Horn outside the town. It was a former mayor of, I think, of Van Horn.
And what was the method of killing?
The method in that one?
Mm-hmm.
That one was shot with an obsidian arrow.
All right.
In the lung, too. One in each lung.
And during your exploration of your morbid curiosity, sorry, 1 second. Did you find anything that directly or indirectly implicates Ezekiel Blackwood Jr.?
I did notice at the mausoleum the presence of cat footprints of remarkably similar size to that of Mr. Blackwood's pet cat.
Mm-hmm. And as a local of Saint Denis, did you have any interactions with Mr. Blackwood?
Yes.
Did at any point he tell you where he stayed or lived?
He said he lived in the swamp, and also that he lived in the apartment across from me, at the Haven Apartments.
So he lived at multiple locations?
Yes.
Sorry, 1 second.
No, take your time.
All right, that's all the questions I have for you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Novak. Mr. Hoffman, would you like to cross-examine?
Would it be fair to summarize that your findings in the autopsies of these bodies was that they were ultimately dead?
They were dead, yes.
And that your findings were that their cause of death differed from body to body, but Ultimately, they share the same ultimate status.
They're all dead.
Did your observation of the scenes or your findings of these bodies having been dead lead at any point to an identity that you suspected or confirmed?
The cat footprints, yes.
Cat footprints.
Yes, sir.
And let's say, so you were born in London, correct?
Yes, sir.
London has dock sides, correct?
Yes, sir.
Saint Denis has dock sides, correct?
Yes, sir.
Wherever there are dock sides, there are rats. This is a fair statement, correct?
I am not an expert in animal behavior or population.
Then you would you say that there are never rats where there are wharfs?
I do not know, but I do not think so. Oh, wait, there's a double negative.
To put it simply, are there rats in Saint Denis to your knowledge?
Yes, there are rats in Saint Denis.
Would it be fair to say that the natural solution to rats in a heavily populated city is its natural predator, a cat?
That is a possibility.
Would you elaborate for the other possibilities that usually come to mind?
Ratters.
Okay. So the cat footprints.
Yes, sir.
What about the cat footprints led you to conclude a suspicion of identity? Did you suspect the cat?
Sorry, one question at a time. The first question again?
Yes. What about the cat footprints led you to suspect an identity?
Less than an hour later, in Selena's pub, the Tipsy Goat, Mr. Blackwood came in for his usual scrambled eggs along with his cat. Out of sheer curiosity, I picked up his cat, inspected its feet, and found there to be dried blood.
Curious.
Indeed, sir.
Were photographs taken of this?
Of the cat's feet?
Blood on the cat's feet.
No, sir.
Okay. So we don't really have any way of confirming whether or not that blood was there, but I appreciate your testimony there.
I'm sorry?
Well, I'm just my statements of frustration on that front are not to be voiced in argumentative fashion. I'm just questioning.
As an
statement that-
expert in medicine who sees dried blood on a daily
Oh no,
basis.
I don't doubt that you could identify blood.
Good. That is what I'm doing.
Were there any tests or studies taken of this blood to match it to any other sources of blood found at any of the crime scenes or otherwise?
There are no such tests in existence.
Not even as far as the amount of time that's taken for them to dry?
Yes, sir. I would conclude this to be a possibility, yes.
Could you estimate how long that blood had been on that cat's feet?
Over 10 minutes.
Over 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And considering time is not a finite matter, over 10 minutes is a rather large window, would you not say?
I do not understand the question.
Over 10 minutes leaves a very open window that makes it very difficult to
Okay, over 10 minutes.
be precise.
Under, I would say, under a day.
Under a day. Thank you. I have no further questions on that front. In fact, I have no further questions at all for you at this time, Dr. Kane. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. Mr. Novak?
That's all I need from Dr. Kane.
All right, Dr. Kane, go ahead and please return to your seat. All right, Mr. Novak.
That is a
Go ahead.
curious twist of
The
events. Did you,
next witness I'm going to call is
you wear the blood on your
Deputy
cat's
Caduceus
foot?
Bane.
I was not.
All right, Mr. Deputy Bain,
Huh.
go ahead and sit down.
I
Oh,
have
wait, no,
idea.
you have to talk with the bailiff first. Yes.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please be seated.
Mr. Novak, go ahead.
1 second here, I'm gathering my notes.
Also, for everyone who is going to be coming to the witness stand, make sure you speak loud enough that everyone will hear you. Thank you.
So, Deputy Bain, on the 24th of November, you were involved in an arrest made against Mr. Blackwood, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And what clothing was Mr. Blackwood wearing during this arrest?
He was wearing all black. Jacket had tassels on it. Had a black mask. Everything that was on his person was black.
One second here, sorry. And does the clothing he was wearing match the description of the footprints I described in my testimony?
I would say so, yes.
Did Blackwood offer an explanation as to why he was dressed in this attire?
He stated that it was a traditional dress from his tribe and that he occasionally, but rarely, wears it to get close to them.
And at the initial interaction of his arrest, how did Mr. Blackwood communicate with you and Deputy Carver?
Well, at the time when he arrived in the town, people saw him and were a bit on edge, so Carver brought him inside the office to chat with him. And during the whole time, he never spoke a word.
I don't remember any.
Yes.
He continued to use sign language, which me and Carver didn't 100% understand.
Did he provide a reason as to his unusual choice of communication methods?
All he stated was because Mr. Alexander was outside, but that he didn't elaborate.
And what did Blackwood say about his relationship with Ebony during questioning?
He stated that their relationship was half-brothers, that they shared a mother.
And did you notice any inconsistencies in his story about Ebony, such as their familial connection or where Ebony lived?
Well, based on their relationship, he stated that there was 2-year age gap between the two of them, but that his father only remained in the tribe for 3 to 6 months. And in regards to his living arrangements, he stated that they sort of shared a hotel room in Saint Denis.
And during questioning, how did Blackwood respond to inquiries about why he continued to dress like Ebony?
Didn't really give much reason to it, and was rather evasive as to why he continued to dress in the same way as his brother was, despite the fact that he was aware of what his brother was up to, supposedly.
And how did he explain his reluctance of coming forwards about what he knew about this supposed brother?
Well, he simply stated that this supposed brother that he had not seen in a very long time, he didn't want to come forward because of the fact he was family, even though it seems that they don't have much of a close relationship from what I could deduce.
Did Blackwood provide any concrete information about Ebony's existence, location, or ways to contact him?
None whatsoever. Asked about telegram, couldn't provide one. Asked about where we could find him, didn't give anything solid. All he said was if he wanted to contact him, put up a poster or go look in the mountains somewhere.
And based on your interactions with Blackwood, did you find him credible and forthcoming during questioning?
I found him contradictory and evasive.
All right, that is all.
Thank you, Mr. Novak. Mr. Hoffman, would you like to cross-examine?
Mr. Bain, suffice to say that you have spoken with Mr. Blackwood on the day of his original arrest and several times since then in the course of your duties in patrolling and guarding the jails?
Yes, sir.
Would you be able to recall which date it was that you took Mr. Blackwood into the custody within which he has been until now?
I could not give you the exact date off the top of my head, but I'm sure the report gives you the dates.
Let me find that for one moment, and then if I have it correct, you'll confirm.
November 24th is the report's date.
Okay. November 24th?
Sounds about right.
All right. That would have put it a couple months ago now. So since that time, have you had any conversations with Mr. Blackwood?
Well, during his time, up until now, the conversations I've had with him would be to offer him a drink while he was in there. Other than that, I minded my business.
Has Mr. Blackwood ever given you difficulty in doing so?
I don't really stick around long enough for him to do so. I ask him what he wants. Whether the answer is yes or no, I give him what he needs and then leave.
And this is consistent with your initial encounters and conversations with him while wearing the hood?
How do you mean?
Well, have your encounters or conversations or interactions with him been consistent with your first interaction with him during that day of arrest?
I'd say so. Generally
So
try to keep them short and brief.
his behaviors during that time, which he was hooded, mute, conversing by sign language, stating a name and identity, you find that consistent with your subsequent interactions with him?
I'd say so.
Most curious. Thank you, Mr. Bain. I have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. Mr. Novak?
That's all of the witnesses the prosecution has at this time.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bain. You can go ahead and step down. All right, Mr. Novak.
Yes. Oh, I have no further witnesses.
All right. I would like to then, Mr. Novak and Mr. Hoffman, go ahead and approach the table. Thank
With
you.
respect, Your Honor, the defense would like to call a witness.
Oh, absolutely. But can you first approach the
Yes,
table?
Your Honor.
Yeah. Mr. Novak, could you come back again?
Sorry.
A little over 2 hours now. Not bad.
Right, Mr. Hoffman, go ahead and call your first witness.
The defense would like to call forth Deputy Danielle Lemaitre.
Yes, Lemaitre? Yes, Lemaitre, I can see you at the back. Yeah, there you go. Go ahead and take a place in the witness stand. Thank you.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Can't hear her.
We cannot hear you.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Deputy Lemaitre,
Yes.
what I'm about to drag you into and inquire about was an interesting and difficult time for you. Are you prepared for that?
I am prepared to, if you're talking about what I think you're talking about, yes.
Understood. You were found some manner of a couple of months ago on the floor, the stables in Van Horn. That is correct?
That is correct, yes.
What happened to result in you lying on the floor there?
Do you want me to start from myself receiving the telegram or arriving in Van Horn?
Make it concise without leaving out any details that would help you identify or explain your suspicions or experiences to the court as far as identities.
Fair enough. So, while I was in Saint Denis, had it that I got a telegram, an anonymous telegram that was telling me that if I did not follow the instructions to the letter, that an innocent person was going to die. I was told to come directly to Van Horn, tell no one, and to come unarmed.
May I inquire as to how the telegram was constructed?
It was
Was there any element of poetry, any sort of artfulness to it?
No,
Okay.
no. It was
Continue, please.
clear, concise, and grammatically correct. But I arrived in Van Horn. Horse strangely threw me off, and I walked into the stable. And as soon as I walked through the door, that's when I came face to face with a hooded figure who had a gun pointed at my head.
What color was this hood?
Black.
Could you describe the rest of the garments being worn?
The rest of the garments being worn were all black. Black pants, long sleeve black shirt, black gloves. Everything, even the mask, was black on his face.
Is this consistent with the outfit that has previously been described as traditional tribal wear for Mr. Blackwood's people?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And could you describe the shoes again?
I didn't stare at the shoes long enough to really remember them. I was more focused on the gun pointed at my face.
Okay, thank you. And then what happened?
From there, he decided to bring up details from the past involving an old case with Ezekiel Blackwood Sr. and how he died. He even tried to suggest that he might be Blackwood Sr. himself.
Curious. Carry on. Were you familiar with Blackwood Sr., Mr. Blackwood's father?
Not in any personal capacity. The day that we caught him was relatively early in my days in law, so I didn't really know him much more than the stories.
All right, please continue. I'm curious to hear more of your story.
Well, after words were exchanged talking about the past, the hooded figure fired an arrow through my lung. I collapsed on the ground. Oh, it's been so long I actually forgot the part where I was hogtied and had my badge taken off of me and burned into my chest.
Before you were shot with the arrow or after?
Before being shot with the arrow.
Okay.
And I passed out from just the sheer pain, and when I woke up was around when Dr. Kane arrived.
And when were you made aware of the note that had fallen out of your pocket?
Was around when I stood up, when Galen helped me to my feet, that it just fell out of my pocket.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly who saw it.
So, just to make sure I have this straight, you were threatened with the implied safety of one that you cared deeply about. You were held at gunpoint, trussed up. Your badge was taken from you and pinned to your chest, like into the flesh.
I was held over a fire and then pressed against me, similar to like a someone branding a horse.
Branded.
Yes.
And then you were shot with an arrow that pierced your lung.
Correct.
Were there any words given in explanation for why this was being done to you?
It's been so long I can't recall at the moment.
No greater symbolism to your knowledge?
Not that I can recall.
Did you ever get a glimpse under that hood?
Not once. Under the hood was a mask covering the entire face.
I see. To your knowledge, does the West Elizabeth Sheriff's Office have in its evidence anything resembling what you saw that evening as far as garments?
I believe something might have been put into evidence rather recently, yes.
How recently?
The day before the trial, I believe.
The first date of the trial or today's date?
The first date of the trial, I could be wrong. I believe the paperwork-
Correction, just for the note of the court, the evidence was put in on the 28th of, not the 28th, sorry, the, apologies, let me find it.
Yeah, I don't have access to the lawman records out here, so I can tell you the exact date. It was definitely recent.
On the 18th, not the 28th, the 18th.
18th of
This month.
January, Harvey.
Yes.
Okay. Does that sound correct to you, Ms. Lamantra? 18th of January?
That sounds about right, yes.
That'd be a week ago today.
Yes.
I have actually that investigation report right here. And it was stated that those articles were, well, this is rather unconventional. Harvey, I'm going to show her the investigation report and just have her verify that she reads the same thing as I do. Is that acceptable to you, Your Honor, and Attorney General?
Absolutely.
Acceptable to me, yeah.
All right.
And you can verify that this looks to be an appropriately official report. That is the same report that you saw that was brought to your awareness.
All right, let me have a closer look at it just to be certain.
Of course, take your time. I'd like you to be sure.
Yes, this would be the exact report. I just wasn't sure about the dates.
Okay. 18th of January, 1890. Current year. You would agree?
Yes.
Okay. 1 week ago, this evidence was recovered from. Where could you elaborate on where this evidence was found according to this report?
According to this report, it was found in the boathouse just north of Saint Denis.
Are you familiar with the boathouse just north of Saint Denis, this particular boathouse described here?
I am familiar with the location, yes.
Have you been to this boathouse before?
Yes, I have.
In what capacity have you attended to this courthouse, or to this boathouse?
I went there to see if I would find anything. The day after, shortly after, Blackwood was arrested to see if there would be anything there. Just to check for evidence sooner rather than chance of scene being tampered with.
So the day after the arrest in November, you went to this boathouse to investigate for evidence. Did you check the cupboards?
I did not go alone. Myself and my wife tore that place apart, and we found nothing.
I mean, let me just ask you this sequentially, though, just to be thorough. Were the cupboards searched?
Yes.
Were trunks and chests searched?
Yes and yes.
Did you check underneath the mattress and the bed?
Yes.
Did you check between the sheets in the mattress?
Yes.
Did you check behind the curtains?
Yes.
Did you, in every conceivable and considered police investigatory manner, perform a thorough search of the place.
Yes.
And what did you find during those searches?
Absolutely nothing.
You did not find a hood?
No.
You did not find arrows?
Correct.
Did you find any writings?
No.
Curious. Most curious. All right. Deputy Lemaitre, I believe this is all that I have for you right now as far as questions go.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. Mr. Novak?
I have no questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Deputy Lemaitre. You can go ahead and step down.
Okay.
Mr. Hoffman, you have another witness, I believe, right?
That is correct, and I
Correct.
would like to request special dispensation for an additional witness as well. One currently present in the courtroom.
Granted.
Okay.
Go ahead and call your second witness.
I call to the stand Deputy Zanaya Lemaitre.
Bill, can you swear her in?
Yeah. Deputy Zanaya, can you please raise your right hand? You swear to tell the truth, everything you say will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
Deputy Zanaya Lemaitre,
Yes, sir.
do you recall what you were doing on November 25th of 1894?
Not specifically.
This would have been the day after Ezekiel Blackwood's arrest.
Ah, yes.
Could you describe for me what your activities were that day in regards to the Blackwood investigation?
Something didn't sit right with me. I, although not currently being employed by the West Elizabeth Sheriff's Department, felt, due to my own personal reasons, that there was further investigation to be done, and that I would be doing my own looking for evidence based off of rumors that I had heard, with the intention of reporting any found evidence to the currently employed members of the department.
Did you conduct these investigations with the assistance and awareness of an existing deputy?
Once, but from then on, no.
Are you familiar with the houseboat in particular for these investigations?
I am.
And was this, did you investigate anything regarding the houseboat belonging or resided in by Mr. Blackwood?
I searched the home multiple times.
During any of these investigations, were you accompanied by an existing deputy?
Only the first time.
The first time. Therefore, a deputy that was with you would be certain that you did not tamper with or otherwise hinder objects such as arrows or other sizable objects that are difficult to be hidden.
Correct.
Did you find any items
No, sir.
matching these descriptions? Would you give a little bit of an example of how thoroughly you searched this houseboat?
I began with the outside perimeter, working from the outer edges of the property and moving inwards, starting from the road, obviously. Moving inwards, I also searched the island that is behind the boathouse, and then from there moved into the outside of the boat itself, searched for anything that could be hanging off of the edge of the boat, searched the upper cabin, the lower cabin, moved inside of the lower cabin, completely looked through all of the compartments that were able to be seen, looked underneath items, checked windows, checked anything that could potentially be a hiding spot, and found absolutely nothing. It is worth noting that I do have prior lawman experience before being employed here with the West Elizabeth Sheriff's Department.
So you had experience with such thorough searches before,
Correct.
and had searches in the past yielded results when wielded in such a manner?
Yes.
And so presumably, two experienced and trained deputies, regardless of current badge status, would likely find things in such a small place. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree, sir.
Okay. And this was on the day after Mr. Blackwood's arrest?
The initial search was conducted on the night of Mr. Blackwood's arrest.
I see. And you, as a deputy, are you aware of any instances in which Mr. Blackwood has been released from custody since the arrest? Was he granted bail?
Mr. Blackwood was not granted bail.
And has he ever run from the custody that he finds himself in?
No, to my
Has-
knowledge, Mr. Blackwood has been incarcerated since the day of his arrest and has not been released and has not made attempts to escape.
Have there been any lapses of his presence long enough for him to make his way to Lemoyne and back since his arrest?
No. The most that we do have is that he did manage to escape his cell while in Strawberry and procured evidence from the evidence locker, but he was found to be in his cell again after.
And he remained within the sheriff's office the entire time?
To our knowledge, yes.
Objection, speculation.
In
There's no-
response, I'm asking to her knowledge,
Okay.
Your Honor.
Yeah, I'm going to overrule that objection.
Have any other deputies mentioned instances where Mr. Blackwood may have left the sheriff's office without your awareness?
No, sir.
All right, Deputy Lemaitre, I have no further questions for you at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. Mr. Novak?
I just have a couple questions. Deputy Lemaitre, are there bars on the first floor windows of the sheriff's office in Strawberry?
No, there are not.
Could a normal person reasonably climb out of those doors or those windows?
As I do not believe that the windows open naturally, not without breaking the glass.
No further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Novak. So much, thank you. You can go ahead and see it. Mr. Hoffman, you said you had a witness, a third one?
I should like to extend the special dispensation for Mr. Novak being called forth as a witness and call for him to return to the stand.
All right. Mr. Novak, would you go ahead and return to the witness stand?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, Mr. Hoffman, go ahead.
Mr. Novak, on the 18th of January, 1895, according to this report, you made your way to the infamous boathouse north of Saint Denis.
I did.
And during your investigation there, the report indicates that you found several items of interest. Would you describe what those items were?
A handful of obsidian tipped arrows, a black, what's the word, hood, a poem in a drawer.
Okay. And where was the hood at?
Um,
Located when you found it?
The desk next to the front door, it was underneath it.
And where were the arrows found when you found them?
In a cupboard at the foot of the bed,
And where was the poem found again?
in a drawer next to the sink.
No hidden compartments, no otherwise extremely hidden places that were hard to find?
No.
And this was on the 18th of January of this year,
Yes.
about 1 week ago.
Yep.
Have you received any notifications or alerts of Mr. Blackwood having left his cell?
Yes, I was the one to notice that the evidence locker lock was broken, and upon investigating the entire office, noticed that he had multiple weapons stashed in his cell.
Curious. Has he ever been considered a fugitive justice since his incarceration there at the sheriff's office?
No.
So he has been accounted for otherwise in custody since his arrest.
Yes, when I searched his cell, he was in his cell.
The arrest on the 24th of November, 1894.
Yes, to my knowledge, though I do not keep eyes on any individual we have in our cells at 24/7. Yes, he was.
But have any deputies notified you of Mr. Blackwood having made an escape attempt that has left him departing the sheriff's office?
No, none of my deputies know.
All right, thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. And thank you, Mr. Novak. You can go ahead and sit down.
Do you plan on calling me up?
Mr. Novak,
I don't think
do
I
you
will.
have any more witnesses or anything?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Hoffman?
No, Your Honor.
All right. At this point, we can go ahead and do the statements from Mr. Novak and Mr. Hoffman, if you wish so, and then we'll have a jury step at the back room and start delivering the verdict. All right. Mr. Novak, would you like to start?
Yes.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, today you've heard the facts of the case, seen the evidence, and listened to testimony that paints a chilling picture of the crimes committed in the state of Lemoyne. The prosecution submits to you that Ezekiel Blackwood Jr. is the murderer and is responsible for these heinous acts. Furthermore, the figure he refers to as Ebony Blackwood is nothing more than a construct, a false persona created to deflect blame and obscure the truth. Let us begin with Ezekiel Blackwood's claim that Ebony is his half-brother. Throughout questioning, Ezekiel provided contradictory details about Ebony's existence, not being able to provide any concrete proof of the fact of his existence. When asked, he always skirted around or was unable to provide any hard evidence to point to where he was. If Ebony truly existed, why were there no records of him? Why has no one else ever met him? And why does every detail about his life hinge solely on the words of Ezekiel Blackwood? Blackwood's actions reveal a clear attempt to manipulate perceptions and avoid accountability. When confronted, he addressed an attire matching the description of the murderer, claiming it was a traditional clothing. Yet he also admitted knowing this clothing was associated with the killer. Why would an innocent man deliberately wear such attire? Instead of reporting Ebony's alleged crimes to the authority, Ezekiel chose to Ezekiel chose to not report this. This erratic behavior was not an act of fear, but one of control and intimidation. The defense has attempted to argue that Ezekiel Blackwood is insane. However, when the doctor who evaluated him, or even the doctor who evaluated him, admitted doubt regarding the authenticity of his answer. During the evaluation, Blackwood's demeanor shifted dramatically after putting on the hood found at the crime scenes. He exhibited delusions of grandeur, claiming divine abilities, being able to take everlasting souls. These behaviors do not absolve him of guilt, they confirm it. Blackwood created a facade of insanity to obscure his actions, which, much like he created Ebony to deflect responsibility. His shifting answers, fantastical recollections, and calculated evasions demonstrate a man who is not insane, but cunning and manipulative. Ezekiel Blackwood Jr. stands before you today not as a victim, but as a perpetrator, a man who attempted to hide his guilt behind a mask of insanity and a fabricated alter ego. Justice demands that we see through the lies and hold him accountable for the lives he has taken and the terror he has inflicted. Ezekiel Blackwood Jr. is guilty of these crimes. We ask you to return a verdict of guilty. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Novak. Mr. Hoffman?
At this very moment, we come to that point in the crossroads that I described 1 week ago when the opening arguments were made. 4 paths before us are as follows. Mr. Blackwood walks free, as the doubt has been cast upon these crimes that have been charged against him. The second path, he finds himself in the care of professionals such as alienists and others who will seek to understand better the ways in which the human mind works in times such as these and can commit such acts such as this. The third is that he is found guilty of each and every one of these, or even a single one, and he serves his time questioning within prison what he must reconcile with crimes that he had no awareness of, no ability to control. Or fourth, he goes forth to the gallows, asking those same questions for a much briefer amount of time, and then looking upon those things in eternity after. Mr. Harvey speaks of justice, and justice is a beautiful, powerful thing. But without mercy, there is no justice, and mercy takes unique and strange forms. I ask of you this, jury, that you return in favor of Dr. Kane's professional assessment, in his time speaking with Mr. Blackwood, in his observations, in his understanding of Mr. Blackwood's state. For those things that Mr. Blackwood can be connected with, pay no heed to the confusion surrounding the boathouse, whereupon months ago deputies tore the place apart, only for evidence to have been discovered a week ago before the trial. Find it within yourself to examine the expert knowledge, abilities, opinions of physicians at hand, the advancement of science and understanding, so that we might better understand, for one of the crucial elements of criminal guilt is the guilty mind, the guilty intent. And when the mind is incapable of forming that intent, there is truly an innocent soul, regardless of the harm, the truly harmful things that can have occurred. But make no mistake of this. This study, this understanding, it doesn't mean a life of luxury. It doesn't mean freedom. It means that Mr. Blackwood serves a debt to society in ways that are sympathetic to him, what he is going through, what the doctors are able to to transcribe, there were several moments when Dr. Kane said on the stand today, I do not know, I do not have enough data. Moments like this allow us the opportunity to collect that information, to understand, and someday perhaps even prevent. That is why I ask of you to return the verdict not guilty on the grounds of insanity. Not to look upon the past and what has been done for retaliation, but to look upon the future and what we can do for the days ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. Members of the jury, you're going to be now stepping at the back
Mr.
room
Blackwood, that's
that
the
I
best
showed
I
you
can do.
before
The
and
rest is in
discuss
the jury's hand.
regarding your decision.
Very good, thank you.
I would like one of the members of the jury step forth and announce the verdict. After I will ask once you return, and we'll go from there. Is there any questions? Okay, well then go ahead and proceed.
Whew. That was exciting.
You know, I wasn't sure initially why I took this case. I don't think it became clear to me until just now.
How's everyone doing on food and water?
But I reckon I took it because I saw confusion in your eyes when you were told about these things.
What?
But I saw a genuine remorse and a desire to help
need
the
food
world
and
right
water?
some of the wrongs. I reckon I saw a chance to make a little bit of a difference.
You're a good, kind man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I got food. I got food. I'll
I don't know if it's
take it.
kindness, but it's hope.
Bang, you need food, water, anything?
Well, be that as it may, I appreciate
Hey,
everything
Clancy,
you have
good to
done
see
to me,
you.
or for me, rather.
Hello?
Yeah, it's
I'm
good
okay.
to see
I
you,
got,
Clancy.
I got food. I could use a little
Everyone
water.
deserves the
Yeah,
opportunity
I
to
got
know
water.
what it's
And you
like
okay?
to have
'Cause
somebody
you come,
on their
you know,
behalf.
opening that door, falling on your ass, you know. You okay on that?
No, I'm all right. I must hit a cushion or something.
Yeah, okay,
Let me
okay.
stand up for a second so my legs don't fall asleep.
Phew.
Thank you.
There you are. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, sir, do you have food?
How? Yeah, we need food and
just,
water.
just a single meal would be fine.
All right, I
You're
understand.
fine.
That might be my last.
Well, you don't know that. We'll see
No,
what the jury says.
no,
but
not yet. But the possibility still looms overhead. I do like scrambled eggs if you have them. Oh, scones.
I
That's
don't
fine.
have any scrambled.
Absolutely fine.
I do have scrambled eggs if you want it, Mr. Blackwood.
Yes, please, thank you. And thank you for the scones.
Yeah, Hoffman, you good at food, water?
Oh, yeah, I'm just fine, thank you.
Doctor, you good?
How many coins in your pocket?
I am all right, thank you.
Just 8.
Okay,
You good on food and water?
Oh, that is, thank you.
Okay.
no problem.
Delicious.
You okay, Danny?
Oh yeah, great. I'll be glad when this is over. Finally, take the bandages off of my shoulder and see how bad the damage is from earlier.
I mean, if you're standing, then
I'm standing, so I consider that a good thing.
yeah.
I'm sure Novak's gonna want to have a word with me after this.
Melina, you doing good?
You were yelling, I won't.
Okay. Okay.
How are you holding that,
Novak, you
Dylan?
good? Food, water?
I'm good.
No.
Sorry, did you
So
say
I'd
something,
be interested
Blackwood?
to talk about when it's all over.
No, I was just laughing a little. The
Oh.
Novak and
Hard to tell.
Deputy
A lot of folks are talking real
Lemaitre.
loud all of a sudden again.
Yes, it is.
Dr. Kane, good to see you doing well. Oh, it's about time I stand back and let somebody else practice law. It's the most annoying experience you can imagine as I sit here, every utterance out of each every utterance out of each lawyer's mouth, I'm going, how would I have said that?
Well, he's an interesting fellow.
If every lawyer talked the same, Mr. Alexander, there wouldn't be two sides to it, would there?
Don't I know it? You both did very well from what I saw. Congratulations to you both, regardless of the outcome.
Thank you.
He's not wrong. Although I am curious as to why he didn't push harder on certain things.
It was real curious, yeah. I don't know what to make of that yet.
I don't either, but I'm not one for protective custody. That would mean I would be in their care, and
I didn't think I was going to get asked any
if I'm set
questions
free,
at all.
I think I'd rather just make it on my own.
Well, hell, if they acquit you, get the hell out of here. Head west, native
It just
territories.
took quite a while.
I might go up to the mountains.
Canada.
The only way to remember it was to...
Never
You
been
don't
up
want
there.
somebody personally coming after you.
No, I suppose
Court can find you
An enjoyable
not
experience.
guilty.
But then again, narrow to the lung
But a
isn't
man with a
exactly
grudge
anyone's
or
idea of fun.
revenge in his heart, there ain't no court that's going to stop that sometimes.
I am curious though. When
Think about
when
it.
Bane was on the stand, why didn't you try to
was
establish some sort of
already-
bias against me? He
Make sure I'm
helped my father with some of his crimes, although he was
Well,
given a plea deal out of those, but
yeah,
not
I
that it
figured
matters
not to
now.
press too much at things involving your father because they weren't really brought up much by the
Right.
prosecution.
That makes sense.
Defense is a more reactive strategy than prosecution.
I suppose that's fair.
There are times
You
when I
did
have
well.
to call up witnesses of my own and create a theory of doubt for folks, but by and large, it's reacting to whatever the prosecution throws up there and finds relevant to begin with.
Right, of course.
And bringing in something new that the prosecution hasn't addressed sometimes has a funny way of turning around and biting you in the ass for doing it in the first place.
It is true, yes. We're gonna need a janitor of sorts to come in here and clean this place up after we all leave. I almost feel bad.
I don't reckon there'll be a lot of goodwill around towards you, even if you do go free today.
No, I suppose not. That is a very large if, I think.
How you doing?
Not to say you didn't do a fantastic job. I think you really did. And I cannot thank you enough for everything you've done for me.
Look, I didn't promise you an outcome, but I did promise you a fair shot at justice today.
Indeed, you did.
I did my damn best. For what it's worth. should it not go your way, you have my sympathies.
I appreciate that.
You seem a good man, but you seem a good man with a lot of hard things to figure out. You know, I figure if you go someplace with doctors who can help you figure out some of those things, or some of the native healers out there in the native territories up in Canada or someplace,
Perhaps.
I don't know. Maybe that'll help you out a little bit because you seem on the surface a good man.
Wheels of justice do grind slowly.
I try to be. Although, this whole thing has made me wonder what's underneath, you know?
Hey, Traska.
Well, that's the thing, you know,
Do you know
there's
where
all sorts of
Vanilla
things
is?
that are undeniably happening that you don't remember, being taken in and questioned by Deputy Carver, Deputy Bain,
Standing around the
and
corner
things
in
like
case
that. And I,
anyone needs
you know,
anything.
Oh, okay.
you got to
Right.
acknowledge the factual seriousness of
Depends
that,
upon
even
the
if you do go free today. That's something
seriousness of
still to
proceedings.
address. So
Sometimes if you just have
Yes, of course.
small amount
every
of
every
will-
one of
Right
us,
behind the corner.
every one of
Why
us
do
got some
that?
sort of shadow lurking inside our minds and
Okay,
hearts.
so if you go
And,
behind
sometimes
off
those
to the right,
shadows are
yeah,
bigger than
she's
others.
Yep.
It's true. They are.
Ugh,
In
ghosts.
case with the
Who the frick is
seriousness
in
of
a
this
thing like
one,
I'm
that?
sure whatever the jury decides, it will be
every ounce
the
of due
best
process to be afforded.
for
It'll be what this land considers fair. That'll be
for
telling.
what society needs. Yes,
I think you're just glad for it to be done, no
I
doubt.
think.
Look, just be grateful when out there in Judge Bean's courtroom out there
What
in West
happens?
Texas.
Yeah,
Judge Bean,
There
I'm
are-
not familiar.
there are 3 different
It's
ways I see
unpredictable
this
at
going.
best.
Oh,
3.
I see.
He is a saloon owner.
4.
Word is, he requires his jury to purchase whiskey at his saloon every time he calls for a recess. So if he feels like his saloon needs a little bit of boost in income, he'll just call a recess and everybody got to drink whiskey. Of course,
Oh
the more
my.
recesses he calls, the more whiskey the jury's drinking, so the more drunk they are whenever they have to make their decisions.
Oh, that's not. Oh, that. I don't like that.
He's an interesting sort, but he's the only form of law they got out there in such a desolate place, so I guess folks around there don't mind too much.
Well, justice is whatever the society of the area deems it to be, I guess.
I reckon that's the conclusion of it typically. You know,
You also have to worry about how they look
all
at that
sorts of
last
forms of
evidence that
justice
got
out there
found.
in this world. I think the harshest form is
get
sometimes the
interesting.
justice we put on ourselves.
Oh, hello there.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Okay.
There's a sense of tension in the room. It's palpable.
Waiting is the least enjoyable of important activities.
I've gotten very good at waiting over the past 2 months.
I reckon you've had a lot of practice in that cell.
Very much so, yes, sir.
I still don't know exactly how those things were found at that houseboat last week. But it ain't on me to provide an explanation for how that went down. All I got to do is point out how it just don't make sense. It don't add up.
Oh, shit.
Need water?
Yes, well, it is curious, isn't it? Oh, they're back.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be continuing the court. Jury's back. So please go ahead and be seated.
Oh, here we go.
This is it.
All right, listen. Whatever the verdict is going to be, I want to everyone to remain calm and to keep your emotions at bay. If anyone I see pulling a gun, will be leaving this courthouse foot first, okay? All right. Mr. Novak, are you ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Mr. Hoffman?
Sooner better than later.
All right. Members of the jury, court asks you, what is the verdict regarding Mr. Blackwood, State versus Mr. Blackwood?
Our verdict is that Mr. Ezekiel Blackwood is guilty of his crimes and was fully aware when committing them.
Thank you, members of the jury.
Fuck.
Wasn't expecting that.
Was the decision unanimous?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Blackwood and Mr. Hoffman, please stand up. Mr. Blackwood, upon the basis of a jury decision, court finds you guilty, and the sentence is death by a firing squad. Carry out as soon as possible. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for attending the court. And West Elizabeth Sheriff's Office will go ahead and take Mr. Blackwood and return him to his cell and carry out the sentence as soon as you are able to.
For a moment, Bill. If I could
Court
shake
is
his
adjourned.
hand.
Yeah.
Would there be a preferred location for us to do it?
Mr. Blackwood,
Yes, sir.
I'd tell you to take care
That
of
is
yourself, but that
really
seems
up
a
to
bit,
you.
bit
If
of a mood
Mr.
advice
Blackwood
right
has some
now.
last wish
Seems that
where
has
you
been
would like
taken care of for me.
to be, and
Face
for an
what is to
execution,
come with
and
dignity.
that will be just fine.
All right, sounds good.
Know that
All right.
the intentions of your soul will be known already, or what spirits lay hereafter.
Like I said before, sir, I appreciate everything you have done for me. It was a valiant effort. Thank you.
All right. Be seeing you.
Probably not. Hello, detective.
Hello. Would you mind putting your hands up?
Oh, yes, of course.
Okay. Follow me. We'll walk right out to the Blackwater Sheriff's Office.
Yes.
Somebody
We
mind?
have this problem. Nope.
Yep.
Just go ahead. We'll do the same thing we did last time. Yeah. Anyone who's standing too close might want back up.
Oh, yeah.
Step out.
Let's step over here for a moment.
Right.
Okay, right here is fine.
All right.
Okay, we will continue our way to the Blackwater Sheriff's Office.
Absolutely. Mr. Novak, good show.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Is McCarthy a reverend?
He might be. We can find out.
I don't
Blackwood,
need
go
him.
ahead and-
Okay. That answers my question.
So are we putting me in the cell, or am
Just for a moment.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Mr. Blackwood, the judge has ordered that we allow you to pick your place.
Pick my place.
Is there a specific place within West Elizabeth that you would like this done?
Within less... Oh.
West Elizabeth, we can maybe push it to like New Hanover, but we can't go all the way out to Lemoyne. Unless...
Why can't we?
we can, sure, why not? Anywhere within the 5 states.
Anywhere in the swamps, I think, would be fine.
All right. Let's load him up onto a wagon and we can head out that way.
Okay, if you get the wagon ready,
Yeah,
let
well.
me know. I'll get him out.
All right, we're going to be...
May I have a word with him briefly?
not alone, but yes.
Ms. Blackwood, I'm gonna remove the cuffs for a moment and give you something, something to eat.
Oh, that won't be necessary, at least not the food. Danny gave me so many eggs. Honestly, I should probably give these back. They're going to go to waste otherwise.
You're fine. Okay, Deputy Bain is gonna have a conversation with you now. Let's give the deputy some
Absolutely.
space.
Well, unexpected.
I'm not expecting a straight answer out of you, because I hardly ever get one. I'm gonna ask anyway. Where Diana?
Well, I guess it doesn't matter now. It was to get at you.
Why?
For what you did to my father. Your involvement in all of that.
I'm exposing him as a merciless killer that goes after people not deserving of it.
You walked free as an accomplice to a murder, and you know it.
You think that doesn't keep me awake at night?
It should do much more than that. It was about justice. I'm sure you will. But apparently today is not that day.
Danny,
Whatever hype there is,
should go and find Dr. King.
bestows you with some sort of
Sure,
mercy.
why?
Not that I don't think you deserve it in any way.
I don't either.
Another question I'd ask, actually, is what would you have done if I did come after you? To your face.
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
What would you have done if I did come after you did that? Was it planned to just let myself to die? Or was that method behind the madness?
is definitely a method to the madness. I know you made a deal, but only after the fact. It's too bad. You don't have your protection now. You'll get yours in due time. Just like I'm about to.
I'm sorry, Mr. Blackwood, but I'm afraid I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm sure.
Perhaps those words of insanity are true to a degree. Unless you have anything else to get off your chest, I'm done with you.
No. I have nothing else for you.
Fix my damn boots.
All right, well,
That's
wagon's
fine.
ready, so
Okay, wagon's
let's get
ready.
this over with.
Do you have a spot though? Cause let's figure it out. Okay. Okay.
In front of the
Sounds fine.
boathouse, I'm quite fond of it. If you don't
Are you
mind,
serious? So that's actually.
I like it there.
He said in front of the boathouse.
Yeah, I heard him. We'll do it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All
Stand
right.
next to the bars.
All right. Oh, let me just. Oh, all right.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
There we are.
The wagon's over there.
Traditionally, there's at least a couple of witnesses anyway.
Dr.
will.
Kane is our witness.
Oh, good.
I'll ride with you if that's all right.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, if y'all want to just step back for a moment, I'm gonna take
Right.
the cuffs out you. I'll let you get on there, and then I'll.
And
put the
then,
cuffs on.
right. Yes, of course.
Kane, step away from him.
Oh, of course.
Oh, you're good.
Okay. And then you just slide those back on. There we are.
Okay.
Doctor.
Ezekiel.
If you'll give me a moment, I'd like to grab my horse.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm going to get mine as well.
Not the outcome I was hoping for, but not unexpected.
I don't know how to feel, sir. I do feel as though it was the best chance you had.
As do I. Goodbye, everybody. It's been fun.
That's one way of putting it.
Well, just for them. I'm going to die. It doesn't really matter. Does
No,
it?
not really.
Justice served, I guess. One way or the other.
What would you like to talk about on the ride there?
What would I like to talk about? Nothing. Such a nice night.
It is.
It is lovely, actually.
It is. Haven't seen a night like this in a long time.
Although I am worried we're going to get jumped again on the way there. Last
most
time I was on
definitely are.
Swagon, I got shot.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I have bandages, assuming I don't get it.
Yes,
The
wrap me
bandits
up.
between Blackwater and Strawberry especially seem to fucking hate me. Barnes Novak can attest to this.
They hate me too. I've been ambushed twice by them.
I've been ambushed 3 times in the last 2 days. What the fuck did
Jeez.
I do?
Just too pretty.
Well, if that's the case, they should be hunting someone else.
I would have a special request, if that is all right, to Attorney General Novak.
What's the special request?
Not to have my hands bound or my eyes covered, and I have something prepared to say. In the event.
What about keeping your feet bound?
I'm not going anywhere. There's 10 of you.
There's only 5 of us, 6 of us, something like that.
There's...
All right, let's head out.
Point stands.
Yes.
The
I'll allow that.
jury has delivered their verdict. I will abide by it.
Not like you have a choice.
I could try to run, but you're right, I don't.
Well... Definitely a different outcome from your father's.
Oh. You're right. It was.
Oh, your
There he
father
goes
had,
now.
Your father had the choice to run. And he didn't.
The beautiful irony to it all.
Oh crap. I about to, nope.
General Novak.
Yeah.
If we do get ambushed, you keep going. Me and deputies and I will.
Sounds
make
good.
sure we ain't followed.
In the event that it does happen, be careful. I would hate if something were to happen to you.
Ugh.
These horses are stubborn. Hold up. Let me try to get them at a steady pace. Here we go.
These gentlemen would stop being slower than fucking molasses.
That's what the look, Zeke.
Well, you'll find out.
Does it have something to do with your speech you have prepared?
No. No. Nothing like that.
as I was walking down by the loch.
Don't.
As I was walking one morning of late, and who should I spy but my own dear comrade, wrapped up in flannel, so hard is his fate. And I boldly stepped up to and kindly did ask him, why are you wrapped in flannel so white? My body is injured and sadly disordered, all by a young woman, my own heart's delight. Oh, had she but told me when she disordered me, had she but told me of it at the time, I might have got salts or pills of white mercury. But now I'm cut down in the height of my prime. Get 6 pretty maidens to carry my coffin, and 6 pretty maidens to bear up my pall, and give to each them bunches of roses, that they may not smell me as they go along.
Quite the voice.
That was beautiful.
It is a song I think of times like this.
I didn't know you could sing, Gil.
Oh gosh, I wouldn't call it much of singing.
Then what would you call that
don't
then?
Sell yourself short.
Yeah, I'm with Zeke on this one. Don't sell yourself short on that. What in the fuck?
Do we have an
Oh, I
audience
hate
or
this
a
section of
tale
it.
or?
What the?
They're doing some work for Mr. Clay.
Oh. um. Does anyone know another one?
Not much of a singer.
Hmm.
I know of some, but I'm not exactly equipped for it.
I know one about, well, actually all the songs I know are about death, I mean.
Going right.
What's that one?
Amazing Grace.
Ah.
Marks to you, Mr. Bain.
Haven't heard that in a long time.
My mother used to hum it.
Mama used to sing that to me when I was a kid.
I think most mothers sang it to their children.
Or heard it in church?
Both. Mom was a little religious.
Going right. And then a left.
Oh,
I know, you're alright.
I was hoping the pigs that are normally out here would be here.
All right, off you get. Just stay put for 1 second.
Of course.
I'll be taking this.
Oh, I won't be needing it.
Feel free to stand where you want.
Right. Well, the horses are over there, so they're not there.
I can move them.
No, I don't want to inconvenience you. What about over here? Let's go over here.
Curious question, Zeke. Where would you like to be, would you like to be buried?
You just feed me to the gators.
Sandinitas, then.
Sandinitas?
Right.
All right. Zeke, Mr. Blackwood, would you like to say a prayer or anything?
I do
Why?
have some words I would like to say to everyone here, I guess.
Absolutely.
It's a lengthy little speech.
That's fine.
Make them count.
All right. Okay. Well, here we go. I stand before you, bound by steel, but shackles cannot change what's real. You called me monster and cursed my name, but here's the truth. You're all just the same. Each sin you bury, each crime you hide, I dragged them screaming to your side. First lust, her body, bought and sold, a life of pain, a heart so cold. Her hands were tied by men in greed, her flesh a market, a desperate need. But when she screamed, none heard her cry, a hollow life that had to die. Next pride fell hard, his pulpit cracked, the preacher's corpse a sermon lacked. Beneath the river, cold and black, I broke his faith. He can't come back. He drowned in sins he dared to preach, a hypocrite beyond your reach. Wrath met its end in fire's glow, a poet's rage, vicious foe. Her words were daggers, sharp and true, but her venom left its mark on you. Her screams, they echoed through the night, a song of hate, consumed by spite. And gluttony, oh how he fed, until my poison left him dead. The feast he craved became his tomb, a banquet served in quiet doom. His belly swelled, his breath grew thin, a fitting end for such a sin. Envy's chill, her lifeless stare, she envied all, yet none would care. The corpse lay cold, the dreams undone, a flame extinguished, lost to none. A jealous heart was carved away, a hollow shell where envy lay. Then Sabbath's blood stained tender earth, the cat who bore my name from birth. Her grave now marks the start of this, a life that justice dared dismiss. Her blackened fur, her lifeless eyes, a warning veiled beneath your lies. And then sloth, dear Cain, this sin is yours, the slow decay behind closed doors. Do you feel the toxins crawl? It's not in blood, but in your thrall. A sluggish mind, awaiting game. Your punishment, a life of shame. Danielle, you stood there, blind, while death and blood entwined your mind. You watched him fall, a final plea. But still you let it come to be. McKinney's shots, they pierced the night, but you stayed still, too cold to fight. A silent witness, a heart turned stone. And now justice claimed its own. Oh, in Bane, the truth will find its path. Your white-hot blade unleashed its wrath. Mayweather's scream, her dying breath, echoes loud in the halls of death. You killed her there, in the shadowed shade, the law's sharp edge, your debt unpaid. This was written if I was going to get the gallows, but the point still stands. So hang me now, the rope draws tight. Let gallows, shadows steal the light. You know this truth, before I'm gone. You played the part of pawn. The blood I spilled, the lives I stole, were sins that you nurtured, dark and whole. For though I swing, your sins remain, a legacy of silent pain. Each crime I penned was born from you, your lies, your greed, your shadowed view. String me high, let justice speak. But justice here is far too weak. Even though my breath runs dry, and vultures circle in the sky, the darkness lingers, festers and grows. A seed you all planted, now it shows. A sloth creeps within. Slow, death will crawl. Your mind, your soul. I'll poison it all.
Was that it then?
Very much so.
All right. Everyone line up next to me. Those of you who wish to participate in this, that is.
I'm trying to stay spaced out so I don't accidentally shoot one of you.
Oh, that's true, yeah. Each of us are going to take one shot, no more than one. Billy, you call it out.
Yeah. Miss Blackwood, would you please turn around?
Oh, absolutely not.
Fair enough. Deputy's aim. Fire. Doctor, if you have a moment, could you confirm?
Oh, I can't hear them.
I can't seem to hear the doctor.
Well, neither can I.
You can't what now?
I can't hear the doctor.
Oh, yeah. He isn't. No.
No. All right. He has been confirmed with the doctor. Okay. Mr. Blackwood is deceased, judging by the order that was made by the judge today has been seen. So at this point, we can take the deceased Mr. Blackwood, and we can either take him to doctor. If you don't mind, we'll take him to your place and wait for McCarthy to come, if that's fine with you.
Yeah, we can wait.
Yeah, of course.
So we're not going to give him his final wish of being fed to the gators?
I...
Fucking hell no. He might have been a terrible person, but he's still a human being.
He still deserves a proper burial.
Correct.
Yeah. And I'm not sure at that point if that's tampering with his body. Even if it is his dying wish.
Put him somewhere proper.
Yeah, like you said, Saint Denis has a lovely
There is a string of ne'er-do-wells that like to attack people mourning the
Personally, I
dead.
find roads more appropriate.
Roads.
Why do you find roads appropriate?
That's where he was arrested. He spent a lot of time there.
Is there a graveyard in Rhodes?
There is.
Mhm.
Yeah, there is.
Rhodes, I don't spend that much time out there.
We can let McCarthy decide,
Okay.
as he is the.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, while we wait on him, Bill, do you want to go send a telegram to McCarthy, and we can meet you at the office
Of course.
since you have your horse with you?
Yeah.
I can use my horse to transport to
Yeah.
Saint Denis doctor's office.
All right, I'll pick him up. Where you want to pick him up?
I've got it.
Sorry about that.
You're fine.
You're all right.
Well, let's
I
go.
was stunned to silence.
I sent Bill ahead. He's sending a telegram to McCarthy.
Say what you want. It's a seed I'll make sure that I rip up and burn. Just another ghost story. Ghosts that are all too real. What beautiful irony. And yet somehow tragic end. Find you
Yep.
in the veil, old friend. Bitter foe.
Camera's aggravating.